where she where she.
I'll try not to yell over Kevin, and I'm going to try to tone down the awkward this time.
All right, and we're live, so that's now like permanently embedded in history.
Oh, good. I started off by being more awkward by saying that I was going to be less awkward.
Yeah, basically, I think the first line is after it goes live is I don't want to be awkward. Okay, I need to not look at our video on the other screen. So, hi everybody. We have people watching. This is our 6th chat of the day. My name is Kevin Griffin. I'm one of the co-organizers of RevolutionConf 2017, June 1st and 2nd in beautiful Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm joined today by Eli White and one of my co-organizers, Linda Nichols. How are you all doing today?
Good.
Good. So Eli.
Wonderful and less awkward.
Less awkward. So Eli, we've been chatting for a couple of minutes already before we went live, but just to reiterate to anyone that's watching this, we go to a lot of conferences and we read the titles, we read the abstracts, and it's really hard to make a critical decision of what talk do I go to, because so many people feel like I have to just commit to a talk. And if you have 4 choices, 5 choices, 9 choices, you really want to make a good decision. And there's only so much that a title and abstract can give you. And our goal with these interviews is to provide more context to RevolutionConf attendees of where are you coming from your life, from your career, and what should someone expect from your talk and along the way. So your talk is titled Web Security Basics, and that's thumbs up right there. I remember when we were going through the sessions, we saw Web Security Basics, and we have another speaker talking about web security, HTTPS topics, and we're like, these are good topics because developers are really interested in this stuff, and they just probably don't know about the minute details.
But more importantly, there are always new developers at every single conference, and so there are tons of people that have not heard the basics, and so it's something that needs reiterated all the time.
But before we talk about your talk, let's take a step back and talk about you. So give us your bio. Who do you work for? What do you do for them? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I've actually had sort of a very varied work past. I am a programmer, have always been a programmer since I was in elementary school, and had been programming for a long time. I've worked for a lot of different companies in the past, DIG, TripAdvisor, the Hubble Space Telescope program, worked for NSA for a short period of time. I've been a lot of places. More interestingly, as my career went on, I ended up focusing a bit more on sort of the community aspect. Worked as a community evangelist for a couple years, and then ended up via a weird twist of the way everything went. I was actually at a startup that abruptly ran out of funding. I was one of the co-founders. I was the CTO of it. But longer story I won't go into, but we literally got the phone call from the CEO saying, by the way, the last 2 weeks, you worked those for free. We can't make payroll. And we had just hired some new people, and it was not a fun situation. But the sort of core group of 4 of us that were there had so much fun working together and doing our own thing that we didn't actually want to go off and just get normal day jobs again. And so the 4 of us decided to start a consulting firm because we had a graphics artist, 2 programmers, and a project manager. So we're like, oh, we're the perfect little consulting team. We said, we'll try it for like 3 or 4 months. And if it doesn't work out, we'll go get real jobs. 2 months later, we acquired a multimedia brand. Basically, we had started doing some consulting. We made a little bit of money. And then we heard through the grapevine that PHP Architect was getting ready to get shut down. And for those who aren't familiar, PHP Architect it started 13, 14 years ago now as a magazine dedicated for PHP programmers. It has been a print and digital magazine since then. They then started producing books and doing training and running conferences. And we were all big fans of the brand. We realized we actually had the skills to do all of that as well, because our graphics artist had actually done book and magazine layout before. When I was an evangelist, I had helped run a conference. And so we ended up acquiring that brand and sort of switching over to doing that. And I spent a good 4+ years focusing on education and community outreach in the PHP community. And then more recently, back in June, my wife and I actually split off from PHP Architect and formed who we are now, which is One for All Events. And we are focused 100% on running conferences for web tech programmers. So we're still running PHP Architects conferences for them, and we're starting to run some of our own conferences as well.
Awesome. So let's take it back even further. I love talking to developers about their origin story. How did they get started in software development? You kind of started alluding to it, but take us all the way back to the beginning. How did you get started? How did you get the bug? And how did it lead you to where you are today?
Yeah, I got the bug, like I said, back in early elementary school. And this is where I'll start dating myself, because I ended up, my parents, who were both teachers, ended up buying me a Texas Instruments TI-99 4A when they were going on clearance sale, and brought it home for me and said, "Here, this is the future. You should play with this." And I fell in love, and basically there was nothing to do on it except write programs. And, got a subscription to a magazine that gave me some programs I could type in as well. And so I really got started there. And then a few years later, my mom was actually at a conference and, as a door prize, won an Apple IIc. And suddenly I had a computer that was powerful compared to a Texas Instruments. And at that point, I fell in love with things like playing Zork and playing it nonstop. And in all honesty, from sort of that point forward, while I always had other interests here and there, the one thing I was always constantly interested in was playing video games, and therefore the computers that went with them. And I sort of went through my middle school and my high school and started my way into college with this concept of, I'm going to be a video game programmer. Then I got into college to do that, quickly found out how the video game programming industry worked and ran, and quickly decided I didn't actually want to do that, but I still love programming. And that was right about the time when NCSA Mosaic came out and the web started to become a thing. And so I ended up going, this looks kind of cool, and I can make little games on it. And ended up just being a web programmer since then, starting off writing CGI bin scripts in C, moving on to Perl, doing some Java applets in JavaScript, and then eventually finding PHP, falling in love with it, and sort of focusing on PHP since then.
Awesome. You're taking me back. I used to play the heck out of the old Infocom Tex Adventures.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
I love that stuff. Like, that's always been my fantasy as a developer, is to go back and just write a classic text adventure, because
Yes.
and it's like, we have all this great new technology, and I want to use it just to put text on the screen. And I don't think people realize a string parser in a text adventure is a really complex piece of engineering.
Yes.
To pull out commonly used words and extract the verbs and the nouns, and then perform scripted actions based off of those. Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect use case for chatbots, Kevin.
It is.
I mean, I played Hitchhikers. I played Leather Goddesses of Phobos. Mm-hmm. That one was awesome. Zork. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about games, adventure games later. Awesome. So now let's get into your RevolutionConf talk. As I said before, it's called Web Security Basics. And everyone, they can go read the abstract on our website, revolutionconf.com. I'm sorry, revolutionconf.com. So Eli, tell me, if I'm an attendee and I come into your session, what should I expect to get out of the session?
What you should really expect is what I'm really going to be doing, what my goal is for this. I a lot of times give full day long web security trainings. I've given 2-day long web security trainings. In the end, though, there are really 3, maybe 4, 3.5 issues that are the real big web security holes that exist everywhere. The things that no software can fix for you, the things that as a programmer, you simply have to understand how this aspect of the web works, because in many ways the web is broken, and how it was designed, because these concepts weren't thought of. And in the 30, 45 minutes for the talk, I'm really going to just be focusing on covering in depth these things. And like in particular, it's going to be cross-site scripting, or XSS, cross-site request forgery, CSRF, and SQL injection. And if there's a little time left, I might touch on a couple other really fun things just to blow people's minds. But the important part is that these 3 security holes, usually with combinations of them, it's not one security hole that actually lets somebody into your website. It's you had a XSS, which allowed someone to figure out the SQL injection, which allowed them to use CSRF to then get into someone's account. But by coming to the class, if you aren't familiar with these concepts, I'll be able to lay out for you exactly what they are and exactly what you need to do to fix them. Because while they are the biggest, most common things out there, they're also really simple to fix.
Is this the type of talk, I've seen talks similar to this, and to an extent, they are the scariest talks to attend because you'll have a group with you'll have anywhere between 50 and 100 people in a room, and everyone's sitting there going, I need to go leave right now and fix some stuff.
Yeah, it's always the when I'm giving these, a lot of times, like I'll get you like, okay, now we're going to talk about this thing, and I'll get a few minutes in, and I'll suddenly see the scared look on someone's face in the back row, and they open their laptop, look down, and start typing furiously.
I have a client. We inherited a very legacy application, and we're in the process of rebuilding it. But along the way, we discovered someone was running SQL injection attacks on the service, and the application is very susceptible to SQL injection attacks. And I ended up spending the better part of a day or two going through and fixing all the obvious holes. And it's horrifying, because if all it takes is someone typing the right thing into a text box on a web page and hitting submit, and they can take down an entire system.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is this issue has been there for 14 years, and no one's either tried or has found the right combination of keywords to fix it. So this stuff is important, and it's not. I'm really respectful of a lot of the new frameworks coming up that really take this type of material to heart. You look at a lot of the older technologies, they don't. It was up to the user or the developer to add security around their application, but it also made it so easy just to break everything.
Yeah.
But that keeps folks like us employed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I myself had my trial by fire into learning web security when I had worked for a number of different companies, but it was all like making intranets or making websites that there's nothing you would want to hack into. And then I mentioned a little earlier that I worked at dig.com. I was actually programmer number 3 there. And when I got hired there, now mumble years ago, I did not actually know anything about these type of attacks. Or maybe I'd heard a bit about them, but yeah, that's not something I ever have to worry about. And very quickly, within a month of working there, suddenly Dig had gone from 30,000 users to 1 million users. And we were getting attack attempts nonstop. And one day, because Kevin Rose couldn't log into his account because something was happening, I at that point went in there, looked, realized what was happening, and I did my own. I sat down for 2 days and went through the entire code base and tried to close up every single hole possible, and then made this amazing commit that kept me on the top of the commit boards for a long time, because the commit touched basically like 2 out of every 3 lines of code in the entire code base.
Oh my gosh.
This is such a hole, you know, in the general knowledge of developers too, is security. You know, I think that I knew enough from, you know, on the job, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. And then it wasn't until I was in a master's program that I really like went in depth in web security. And it's something that if you're writing code, I think that you need to learn how to write safe code. It needs to be more of a priority than it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just say someone's coming in. Can you like inject one little tip right now that would be valuable to someone watching this video before coming to your talk? Like, is there a tool or trick out there that you commonly see?
The one thing that I will say, and then you have to come to the talk to figure out exactly what it means, but FIEO should be the mantra whenever you are writing anything. Filter input, escape output. Any input you get from the user, you need to filter it to make sure it's safe. And anytime you output anything, you need to escape it to make sure it's safe.
Absolutely. So same application with the SQL injection issues.
Same thing.
Had the same problem where there was a certain text box where you could send messages to other users, and someone discovered that you could put a script tag in there, and it didn't do any filtering. So they didn't do anything bad, except they put an alert box in there. Yeah. They said alert something, but the same page was on a timer where it would refresh every couple seconds. And every 5 seconds, or every 5 seconds or so, alert box, close it. Alert box, close it. Alert box. And I get a call from the owners. They're like, "You need to fix this now, please." And it's like, holy crap! Did not even realize that was an issue. Go fix it. Again, not my bug. Inherited code. So it makes, but this stuff is really important. So I hope I expect your talk is going to be packed because so many developers they need to know this stuff. So excellent. Now, Eli, you're from Maryland. We were talking about this earlier.
I live in Maryland now. I'm originally from West Virginia.
Originally from West Virginia. Okay. So you've been through Virginia a couple times, probably.
Oh yeah, many times.
Have you been down to Virginia Beach before?
I have, but the last time was my senior trip in high school in the early 90s. So
okay, probably not the crowning moment in Virginia Beach history.
I think that was before it was illegal to cruise. I think the no cruising law went into effect in like '94.
Probably. I was discussing with one of the other speakers about the no cursing law down at Virginia Beach. So it's illegal to curse on the ocean front. If you curse, they can give you a ticket.
Interesting. All right.
So, but they have signs up that tell you don't curse. So are you coming down? Are you going to do any touristy stuff beforehand, afterwards? Anything that you're looking forward to doing?
Probably not. I'm just really looking forward to the conference itself.
Awesome. So a lot of our attendees, this will probably be their first conference, or at least their first major conference outside of regular meetups and whatnot. I know yourself, you're a veteran of conferences. What type of advice or recommendations would you give to someone who is coming as a first-time conference attendee?
The number one thing I would actually say, and it's the weirdest thing for people to hear, is don't be overly focused on attending the sessions. Obviously, yes, you're going there to see the talks. The whole reason the conference exists is that there's speakers giving the presentations. But if you're looking at a specific time slot and you're not 100% sold on any of the 4, how many ever slots are happening at the time, one of the best experiences and some of the best things you can get out of a conference is the hallway track. Because every conference has the one additional extra unofficial track of the hallway track. And it's just sitting down in the comfy seat area and sitting down at lunch with people you don't know and just chatting and learning from other attendees there, connecting with other people, finding the speaker whose session you listened to the day before that morning, tracking them down between sessions and just asking them more questions, which every speaker I know of is more than happy to answer. There's so much value you can get out of taking that little bit of time to just talk with everyone else at the conference. I've seen too many people, including myself when I went to my first conference, who was just absolutely focused on running from session to session to session to session and not leaving time to actually do anything else besides sit there, listen, take notes, run to the next room.
Absolutely. Linda, she'll probably chime in as well. We've putting together RevolutionConf, we really try to design the experiences. So someone can sit out in the hallway and talk, and it's not going to interrupt the sessions going on. We also have 2 after parties. We have a luau on Thursday night, which is going to be a blast. We're taking over the beach. And I've mentioned before, beach appropriate food and beverages if you'd like to attend. And we also have a happy hour on Friday night. And everyone's welcome to show up for those. So if you can't get your networking done during the day, you have no excuse in the evening.
Yeah, the evening activities are always great for that.
Yeah, that's the advice you just gave is definitely the advice I'd give too. I mean, there are so many conferences I go to and I'm like, these sessions are so good, and I don't even go to any of them because I'm like, maybe they'll be recorded, maybe someone can tell me about them, but I meet all these people and those experiences are so valuable.
Yes.
I remember one of my first or second little conferences. It was my first time as a speaker, I think, or second time, and I was in a lounge with a couple of the other speakers and attendees, and I was talking to the speaker. I'm like, tell me about your talk. He ended up doing the talk in 15 minutes for me personally. And I got so much more benefit out of that time one-on-one. And then I would have gone to his 75-minute talk later that day. So I'm like Linda, I hang out in the hallways. If I go into a session, it's because I really want to be in that session. But most of the time, hallway track. Love the hallway track.
The hallway track has snacks a lot of times too. Snacks and coffee. You don't get those in the sessions.
And RevolutionConf will have an amazing hallway track this year because we have a big, wide, open area, and we're trying to fill it with as much seating as possible.
Great.
And we're encouraging people to hang out or go out to the beach. So many people last year just went out to the beach, and that's what it's there for. Use it.
Kevin and I are responsible for the beanbag item line in our budget. So
Yes.
we're hoping for beanbags, like
Very
to
nice.
chill out in the chill areas.
All right. Well, now we're on to one of my favorite parts. Your shameless self-promotion. Are you working on anything exciting that you want to promote to people? Things you like folks to go look at?
Sure. Actually, I mentioned at the beginning that my wife and I now focus on running tech conferences for a living, and we actually have 2 coming up. The first is PHP Tech, which is the longest running conference dedicated to the PHP community. This will be our 12th year.
Wow, good job.
We have moved it to Atlanta this year. We're really excited about having it in Atlanta. It's going to be in May. And the other conference is a brand new one that we are really looking forward to be there as well as running it. It's called CODERCRUISE. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a polyglot web tech conference on a cruise ship. We're going to be leaving out of the port of New Orleans in July. And it's a 7-day cruise that hits Cozumel, Montego Bay, and I just blanked on the third stop, but another stop in the Caribbean. And it's 7 days of cruising. The 3 days that we end up spending at sea, the conference happens on those days, and we'll have a 2 parallel track conference going. But then the 3 days that we spend at port, we're not having a conference then because you're parked in Montego Bay. No one's going to stay on the ship and listen to talks. And so we're actually having group excursions that everyone can go on together so that the whole cruise still stays together. And you essentially get that extended hallway track over an entire week of being stuck in a good way on a cruise ship together with all of your fellow attendees.
Awesome. I know Linda and I have talked about Revolution Cruise in the past. And so we might actually pull you to the side to talk the logistics of that, because we both are, we both want to be professional cruisers, I think. And
we accidentally went on the same cruise this year. We were both on the same ship this year, Kevin and I, in different months.
at different times.
Yeah, different times.
Not together. That would have been awkward.
Same ship, different stops too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it would be, I would love to do a cruise conference, and I'm interested. You've already done the heavy lifting of the logistics for it, so we want to talk to you and copy you.
Sounds like a plan. Or maybe we can work together, either way.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll put links to all that stuff in the show description for this video, and definitely encourage people. So, conference organizers, we're like a big family. We just try to help each other every way possible.
Absolutely.
So awesome. All right, Eli, let's wrap it up. Where can people find you on the internet if they would like to talk to you before your event?
Sure. The easiest place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at ELIW on Twitter. And you can also find me at oneforall.events, which is our company's website.
Well, excellent. Well, for everyone out there, if you'd like to learn more about Eli's session or our other speaker sessions and buy a ticket, go to RevolutionConf.com, and tickets are still available, and we would love to see you all there. But Eli, thank you so much for hanging out with us for half an hour.
Thank you. This was fun.
Bye, Eli.
Bye.